currently two passions. One, if I talk about, I'll get so worked up. My first passion is Arsenal. I can't talk about it. My second and equally big passion is Indian classical music. This is an unconference, so this is supposedly a non-key, out-of-note address. Okay, when Vatsal asked me that, why don't you share something which you are passionate about and how it has helped you or what, then I was thinking about it and saying, I'm passionate about something because I like it and I've never tried to link it to my work. Maybe that's why I like it. But then, when you think back, then you see that you may have learned a few things, maybe unknowingly, from what is your passion. And eventually, some of them I've been a planner all my life, so I'll use words like retrospectively self-evident. Some of them were retrospectively self-evident. My passion. I have currently two passions. One, if I talk about, I'll get so worked up. My first passion is Arsenal. I can't talk about it. Our status right now, so we can't talk about it. I will unnecessarily get into fist scuffs and stuff like that. Why? My second and equally big passion is Indian classical music. And I thought Indian classical music will be possibly a better thing to talk about, and what are the stuff that I could learn from it. My first learning from Indian classical music about my life and my work is, you get attracted to something for one reason, but you don't necessarily stay into it for the same reason. So the art of evolution. I don't know if I can play two small clips. Vatsal, is it possible? I can try and play it here. Let's see. You can hear it, right? Let's change the mood, no?
चंदन सा बदन चंचल चितवन धीरे से तेरा ये मुस्काना चंदन सा बदन.
Okay, that's Raga Yaman. But Raga Yaman from Bollywood. So Raga Yaman from Bollywood may be the reason you may get attracted to Raga Yaman. But if you stay with Indian classical music for long enough, you'll figure out that's not it. It's supposed to evolve. And then someday, even before you realize, it actually evolves into this. Now that was Mukesh, I could stop it quickly. This is Bhimshan Joshi. I'm really afraid to stop him. But unfortunately, I know it's 9 minutes and stuff like that, what to do. But you see how it evolves. The reason you came into this is not the same reason you are in it. So I think the one very obvious thing I learned in my life from Indian classical music is the importance of evolution. If you don't evolve in your profession, you will not like your profession. You will easily drop out of it. So that's possibly point number one. Point number two, and the most important thing that I have learned from Indian classical music is the idea of nuance. When we start our career, we don't understand the meaning of nuance. But nuance is everything. We only think of structure. Okay, I went to some big-ass management school at Ahmedabad and they taught us how to think structurally, but that's all grammar. By learning grammar, you don't learn a language, right? Nuance is everything, and classical music tells you about nuance. If you take Rag Yaman only, now Mukesh sang it in one way, Panditji sang it in another way, and my favorite singer, Rashid Khan, towards the end, I'll try and play a little bit of that. He plays it in a completely different way. But the structure is the same. The raga is exactly the same. So the structure of the raga is exactly the same, but Bhimsen Joshi singing it on Monday and Wednesday will be totally different. It's not about the structure, but it's about the nuance. And then I realized something, that I never liked the idea of rigidly defined brands. And I asked myself many times why I don't like the idea of rigidly defined brands. Let's take raga. A raga is an abstract idea. You know, it is a feeling, a mood, a moment in time. But it's very well defined grammatically. So the same thing that brands, when people lose their sleep over those brand manuals and stuff like that, you know, I started my career in brand management in Citibank, where we were told not to use certain lines and I used to feel very claustrophobic, saying, why am I being told this? And then I realized that maybe this is where my learning came from. That at the end of the day, raga, the structure is the same, but if you don't present it with nuance, people will not like it. If everybody sang the same raga in the same manner every day, nobody would have liked it. Same with brands. Your core brand idea needs to be the same, but it's in abstraction. Your brand is never about so many pages and so many dots and so many colors and so many. That's fine. Because I used to always wonder, why is that one of the best brands in the world like Google, they change their logo every day. Google Doodle is possibly one of the cutest thing in the world. And I used to ask questions like that. Those days MTV used to change their logo every day. And it was such a loved brand. And then I understood that, today I understand the idea. The idea, when it lives in abstraction, it's possibly the strongest. So therefore, this Indian classical music teaches you that. Abstraction is brilliant, the idea is brilliant, but you need to add something. You need to add nuances to it to make it attractive. Another very interesting thing I learned was, in Indian classical music or any music, there are three things, right? There's melody, there's rhythm, and then there's harmony. Now, if you see Western music versus Indian classical music, the idea of harmony changes. See, Indian classical music, melody is everything. The rhythm is the timekeeper. So if you go to a concert, you will see that the singer will look at the tabla guy a little leniently and say, now you can play. So it's like inviting him to play. But the idea is to produce the vocal part in its total glory, right? The harmony in Indian classical music is totally different. It's not like Western classical music. When you see a chamber orchestra, everything, whether it's a flute or a bassoon or a cello or a violin, they all come together to create harmony. In Indian classical music, it's not that kind of harmony. It's only sa and pa. It defines the corridor for the harmony. But the beauty is, what is happening is at the central theme, which means whether it's vocal or the sitar or the flute is central. Everybody else plays the second fiddle. So, look at this. Damn interesting. When we become bosses, we walk into a meeting, we still behave like the boss. We can never behave like an accompaniment. So the day is flute solo. Sitar can play accompaniment. Typically, the vocal guy is the owner of the company, so he doesn't listen to this. But still, if you go to, say, a classical dance recital, you will see the vocal will also play. So that is the beauty of it. Long time ago, I was in, like once in a while it's good to, drop names. So I was in LA and I was in a conference where the guy sitting next to me was the guy who wrote How I Met Your Mother and Friends 2 and 3. So he was explaining something interesting to me, and I can connect it to this idea of harmony. He said when they write in a team, in one season, I could be the lead writer, and say 3 of you could be the support or the like co-writers. The next season, you could be the lead writer, and I should have no problem becoming the support writer. I think that's the true meaning of team play. We don't understand the true meaning of team play. We still play our existing roles. We don't know how to play support role when you become a boss. You always behave like the vocalist. So I think the idea of harmony is something which I again learned from here. The third thing I will link it to is a very interesting concept called the geography of thought. I don't know how many of you have read that book called The Geography of Thought. It's one of the most seminal books. It says, like, why there's a problem when some of the global brand ideas are brought in lock, stock and barrel into India. Because the style of thinking is very different. That thinking, the Western thinking is about either or. Our thinking is about and both. So we don't like the idea of two things colliding with each other and therefore we have to choose one. If you notice, we always used to like the first half of the movie was good, but the second half was not good. That is because first half it used to spread. Second half people had to take decisions. Nobody liked taking decisions. Like, nobody likes to commit in our, so if you ask somebody, so how is it going? He's saying, tu bata kaise chal raha hai? How can I say how your life is going? So we don't like to take definitive decisions again out here. It's not very well defined note to note. There are half notes. There are quarter notes, and that's what makes it so much more interesting. So maybe Indian classical music is how we should run our business. It's the importance of the half notes. It's the importance of the gray area between black and white. And anybody who has worked in a company which is 100% run by, Indian owners, you will know that there would be gray areas. Your life will be about managing that gray. And another thing about Indian classical is that, I don't know how much time I have. You will tell me? Huh? I'm 1 minute over, so I'll say one last thing and play one little clip of Rashid. Otherwise, so the last thing is, another thing I learned from Indian classical music is the art of presentation. If you see any concert, it starts with alap. Alap is about getting the context right, familiarizing people with the context. In our management institute, there used to be a joke called contextual familiarity and conceptual clarity. Like, that's the beginning of jargon, as they say. This contextual familiarity is very important. So therefore, they do the alap, they get you in the mood, then they do vilambit, where they expand on the idea. There's an idea, they're expanding on the idea, and then comes drut. So they are getting you attracted to that idea. I think if our presentation, if we try and keep that within this, of course, vilambit, there are substructures, drut, there are substructures. But if you look at this fundamental structure, familiarizing people with the context, giving them an invitation, then building on the idea, and finally quickly making it attractive enough for everybody to buy in, is the same thing that happens. So having said that, if I don't play one little drut of the same Yaman of my most favorite singer, Rashid Khan, then I don't think I would be doing justice to this 9 minutes that was given to me, which is moving to 10.5 minutes. But this will be worth it. So Dhruv will come. My heart breaks to stop it, but unfortunately we had to stop, so thank you very much, and sorry for bringing the tempo down, because if you ask me to talk about my passion, the other high energy passion was Arsenal, but I can't talk about it.